Hi, I'm Lisa Wilson with the Raw Food Institute, and I'm so privileged and honored to get to sit here today with Laura Fox, Visionary Culture,
Best of Raw.
Best of Raw, and the Raw Alliance.
That's right.
I got them all three. Okay, sort of, almost. Anyway, it's great to have you here, Laura.
Thank you.
We're sitting here at National Integrative Health Associates, and we're talking, and I was really, really excited to be able to talk to Laura today because she's going to answer some questions that I have about sustainable raw. And it's something that I don't have a chance to get to talk to very many people about. So do you want to just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you became really interested in getting the message out about sustainable raw?
Sure thing, absolutely. Well, for starters, if we use our bodies as a microcosm to the macrocosm of the planet, each of our bodies is showing up in different ways right now based on the toxins that we've been taking in, the types of foods we've been taking in. And by the time, 1996 rolled around, and then 2000, I had started understanding about a raw foods movement, but I hadn't started it. And I said in 96 when I saw Giuliano's Raw, well, I guess if I ever get sick enough, I'll go raw, which is kind of a common mentality. It's
Right.
like we don't change until there's something in our face making
Right.
us change, because we like our habits, we like our creature comforts and
Right.
all these things. So by 2000, I had been having headaches every day and things like that, and was hypoglycemic, and my digestion wasn't working properly, really blown out adrenal glands. And so I was like, okay, I'm going raw. And I did, and within 6 months I was no longer hypoglycemic. The digestion fixed itself. I had all kinds of really amazing results from that personally. And so then was able to help others through that practice that I was offering. And the more that I thought of it, I'd always been aware of the ecology of the planet and the time that we're at right now with the vast amounts of pollution. And the raw foods, just kept coming to me as it's my place to support the industry and to grow. And it's been sinking in for me, Lisa, more and more and more as time goes on, the vast unawareness of the impact of food on our ecology. If you think about 6.8 billion people on the planet, most of whom are eating 3 and more or less times a day, we have to start to realize that food is actually probably got, besides maybe nukes or oil, the single greatest ecological impact on the planet. And of course, all of food is related as an industry to power and packaging and processing and shipping and all these different things, besides the fact that you've got like growing animals, which takes unbelievable resources to produce meats and dairy products, in terms of what could equally be produced with that same land and those same resources for plant nutrition for the planet. And so I think it's a conversation that humanity just really hasn't had yet, because we take food for granted. We're like, oh, food grows and we eat it,
Right.
but we're not aware of ourselves. We're not aware that there's 6.8 billion of us doing that every day, and what that means in terms of how it's impacting the ecology. The soils being degraded by the chemicals, all these different things that you can think of. I'm sure you can think of a few things yourself.
Well, it's interesting that we're having this conversation because personally, I started in my 20s as an environmentalist.
Oh, okay.
And then when I had children, it became really important to me to feed them well.
Mhm.
And suddenly the lines, for me, the lines are gray. There's no line between the environment and what we put in our bodies and nutrition. They're one.
Right.
So my question to you is for those people watching, what are the go-to top recommendations that they can really start making an impact on their bodies and on the planet right now? If
Yeah.
you're going to give people some takeaways.
Sure, absolutely. So, in general, add more raw, vegan, organic plant foods to your diet. That's something that nobody could really argue with,
Yeah.
It's like, add more. Instead of your regular breakfast, try a green smoothie or a raw shake with fruits and maybe even vegetables in it, and that kind of thing. Start simple. Add more raw to your diet and start noticing how you feel. And then once you've switched out your breakfast for a fully raw experience, and notice how much energy you have by lunch, you'll start to notice, and in your body, that experience is what's going to really inform you as to what, why to add more plant foods. And if you're still on if you're on a mainstream diet now, the most important thing probably is to have compassion for ourselves and our habits, and not to be in judgment of ourselves Because when we try to make ourselves wrong, or we think we should be doing something else, when that energy comes in, it's way harder to change. And really, the food habits of our culture and of ourselves personally have developed over eons. Even though, like recently in the last 50 years, all the packaged foods have come up. But we're genetically inclined even, and socially inclined to certain food choices and habits from a long, long history of experience. So not to be hard on that or hate that about ourselves or about our culture, but just to acknowledge it, to have compassion for where we are, and to hold space for ourselves as we shift into new habits of adding more raw. You know, and after you've got your breakfast down, why not go to lunch? Why not have a salad, a yummy salad and some raw crackers or something like that for lunch? And then, you know, by dinner time, you know, the second most important thing is just to start eliminating those things which are, you know, not good for us, that we know. And so some of those things would be the deadly whites, you know, white flour, white sugar, baking soda, baking powder, you know, processed salt, those kinds of things. And then the alcohol, and then you really want to question your meat and dairy consumption, because not only is it starting to be widely known that these things are harder on the body, that's clearly the balance is not there for sustainability in terms of an ecological situation.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for talking to us today. I'm so grateful, because this is a piece that I rarely get to talk about. So, Laura Fox, again, I'm just so grateful that you've been here. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.